What's up, everybody? Welcome to another podcast of Confidence Through Christ. Today, we have the special guest, Shanyder Borgelin, from current Inter Miami FC player. I'm Nico. This is Brax. For those of you tuning in for the first time, we're a faith-based podcast, really just with the goal and the mission just to grow God's kingdom and to help those that are lost and try and help everybody just find true confidence through Him.
Well said, bro. Shania, welcome, bro. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I already knew about this podcast probably 2 weeks ago. Braxton hit me up with the idea and he was like, are you down to be a part of it? And I said, yeah, of course, man. Especially to help my boy, current teammate as well. And, just kind of spreading the word of the gospel. So, happy to be here.
Appreciate it, bro. How are you, man? You ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, bro. I'm ready to play, especially against Orlando City. Growing up, you're always taught to hate Orlando City, especially when you're from Florida. So, yeah, this game definitely means a lot more to me than any other game. That makes sense. So
that's a derby, right?
Yeah, derby, bro. You actually just played Orlando City, for the first team, it was a couple of days ago, actually. But so that game was crazy. So we actually have to back it up again this weekend and win. So, yeah, this is a big game.
Dude, huge, bro. I mean, from the outside, that Orlando and Inter Miami, I've seen some videos of, especially since Messi's arrival, has been like the craziest Inter Miami fans just making chants about Orlando and the hate for that rivalry, bro. Really?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's always good to have a rival, especially like Orlando City, because one, we just don't like Orlando.
Yeah, let me not hate, passion. Let me say that.
Yeah, my bad. We don't hate, but give me another word for it. Give me another word for Orlando City.
I'm trolling, bro.
Nah, but yeah, man. It's I don't know. This always feels good to play in a derby game, man. So we all know how it is. You feel me?
For sure.
Yeah, bro. Exactly. It's one of those games that you can. Well, I mean, even after, especially going into that game that you guys, the first team, just played. Were you? I don't know. Were you rostered for that game? That with the first team?
Yeah. I was actually rostered for that one, but we just have so many guys coming back on the bench now, so we just have a lot of options, coming off the bench. So it's kind of good to. It's kind of good to yeah. So yeah, man.
It's not the easiest team to get into right now, bro.
Yeah, especially now, especially as a young player, man. So I was used to playing coming off the bench earlier on in the season, because we had a lot of injuries. But now that everyone's finally back, it's tough to get into the starting lineup, but it's good competition, So it's good to be ready. But I'm just glad everyone's kind of healthy and they're getting back on the field. So
yeah, well said, bro. That's good.
Yeah, man.
That's dope. Well, Shania, bro, I really appreciate you coming on here. First off, I always see I've been around you for the past 2 years now, and I always see you before games. Just dedicating everything to God. And one thing that really stood out the most is when you made your debut with the first team, and you scored too, which is amazing. One thing you did, I mean, most players in your situation scoring on your first team debut, you kind of go crazy, do some crazy celebration, whatever it is, but you actually gave thanks to God and you gave everything back to Him. And that's something I really look up to you as. And when I see players like that giving in such big moments, recognizing that God blessed them with that moment and just giving all thanks back to Him, I really admire what you did there. And I think it's amazing, bro. And I just want to hear a little bit about your testimony and how your career has been so far in your life, and we'll just have a conversation of how your life's been and how God's worked in your life, and and how your faith started, and just some stuff like that, if you're cool with it, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. First, thank you for recognizing that beautiful moment that I was able to share with you guys, and especially the team and even my family. But bro, honestly, man, I would just have to say that God, He's worked in my life so many ways, man. There's no way I can't say that God is not real, because of all the work that He's done in my life. And, everything that I have today, I truly give it to Him. I owe it all to Him. And, I'll never take anything for myself. Nothing. But that just goes to show that, He's an amazing Father. And, anything that I need, I know He's always going to give it to me. But my testimony starts from when I was in my mom's womb, around 3 months to 6 months. The doctors basically called my mom and said, "Hey, come to the clinic. We need to talk to you." And my dad was with her as well, so they pulled up to the clinic, and then the doctor said, "Hey, your son, he has some abnormalities, and he's going to be a vegetable when he's born, because he has like two crowns in his head or two horns in his head, something like that." But I was supposed to be a vegetable coming out of the womb, and the birth, the pregnancy was going to affect my mom. So my dad and my mom were forced with a decision to either abort me, or hopefully if I come out normal, like, as a vegetable, hopefully I have a decent life. But even the doctors couldn't promise that. So they said, hey, the best thing to do is maybe abort this kid and, maybe start over again. But my dad's story is even crazier. My dad was an orphan growing up in Haiti, and he was homeless.
Wow.
His mom died close to birth, maybe, and then his dad also died when he was like 9 years old. He found out his dad died on the radio, which was like crazy. So he never even got
No
to
way.
experience it. Yeah, so he would be bouncing around foster homes in Haiti, and you already know how in Haiti, like, it's not the best place to be at right now. So, but yeah, my dad always had his faith in God, and he said, God's always going to provide. He's going to provide. So he was able to come to America, and then when he was faced with this big test where he had to abort me or maybe keep me, my dad got on the phone with my mom's dad, my grandpa, obviously. And my grandpa was like, hey, this kid's going to be a genius. Don't worry, trust in God. He'll be all right. So my dad was like, you know what?
Wow.
Doctors, I'm not going to abort this kid. I'm actually going to, let God take over. I trust in Him. And if my kid does come out as a vegetable, I'm going to love him the same as my two other kids or even more, And he was like, who am I to give? Who am I to give life? Who am I to take life? So, my dad was like, all right, let's do it. So whenever I was born, the only thing that I had wrong with me being born was just an umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. That's it. Came out normal. And then ever since then, my dad said, hey, soccer or whatever you do in life, but soccer is the thing that you really want to do. This is going to be your testimony. So whenever you're out there, just believe in God and just always show that you're here because of God. And this is the reason. So that's why every time I score, bro, I just always do this. I always look up. I'm always giving thanks to God because, like I said, without Him, I would not be here. And it's just crazy that I'm in this position right now, playing with the best player in the world, being able to, score on my debut, being able to meet people like you guys. Like, it's just, I've been able to experience so many things because of His grace. And, I'm just happy to be in this position where I can share it. So, this just kind of shows that, God is able to do impossible things, like impossible things, man. So,
Dude, amen, bro. Amen. I
sure,
think
sure.
I just looking at when Brax told me about your story about how you scored on your debut, bro, and and then especially after this testimony, hearing this testimony, there's a verse that came up in my mind, and it was 1 Timothy 1:3, and it's, I thank God whom I serve as my ancestors did with a clear conscience, as night and day I constantly remember you in my prayers. And when I hear that, I just think, especially after hearing your testimony, dude, you went through so much, even just from the jump, like even
Mm-hmm.
before the jump, even before the jump, really. And look where you are now. You know what I'm saying? Like you're on pitch every day with the debatably the go. In my opinion, it's a go. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like what you've come out of that. Like that's a moment in my life where I look at that and I'm like, that the only answer is God. There's no way that this is something that's earthly. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Most
And
definitely, man.
yeah. And I don't know how you compare, or when you're talking about your dad, you said that he always stayed faithful to God. How were you raised with your dad in a faith way? Was he a guy that was taking you to church? Was he praying? Were you guys praying together, or how was your like family household coming up?
Yeah, like where did
So
that seed plant?
actually, what do you say?
Where did that seed plant?
Oh, bro, when I tell you so, my dad is actually a pastor. So, when he
Oh,
came, yeah. So when he came to
you got the cheat
America,
code.
yeah, basically. So it wasn't like I just discovered it. It was kind of, I was born into it. So I was just really lucky to have that. But my dad was actually a pastor, and then my mom's, I don't know why I keep saying my mom's dad, but my grandpa. my grandpa was also a pastor in Haiti as well, so she came from that background as well. So just growing up, we would always wake up on Sunday mornings and go to church. And I used to go to a Haitian church when I was like really young. So
Really?
it was always hot. It was always like, they would only speak Creole, so I barely understood it when I was growing up. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of just, in the life, but it wasn't until I got to an older age where I realized, okay, like this is something that I want to do for myself, not just because my parents believe in God. It's something I want to do for myself as well. And it was just something that I was always able to fall back on and have their backs as well, because whenever I would be going through a tough time, they would always relay everything back to God. And my dad would always use his
Yeah.
story, like, hey, I'm here because of God. So, do this, do this, do this. And he would always relate everything back to God. Like when I tell you, I could be like, Dad, where did cereal come from? It came from God. Like literally, that's the conversations I would always have with him.
He's like, what brand? Kellogg's? God.
Yeah, Kellogg's, yeah. God, like when I tell you, bro, like
Exactly.
he would always relate. It would be annoying, like when I was growing up, but as I grew
Yeah.
older, I could see why he does it, because it's true. Like none of the things that we have in this life is because of our doing at all. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where my background came from, and it kind of just stuck with me growing up.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I've heard when I went to your birthday party last year and your dad spoke about you. I mean, it's just, I get the chills every time hearing that, bro. Because I mean, and for you to be open and to speak about it and to give, like, for your dad to have that amount of faith in that moment,
Mm.
'cause that's a huge moment in
Yeah,
your life,
Oh,
only your life, your mom's life, and your dad's life. It's a huge moment, and for your dad to have that amount of faith it planted a seed in that moment in you, and it's now you're talking about your faith openly,
yeah,
for people to hear how God has worked in your life. And it's just amazing, bro. And in Romans 8:31 it says, if God is for us, who can be against us? And it's like in that moment,
yeah.
most parents would be like scared, they would be so scared. But
Mm.
that faith went through, and now you're doing so much in your life besides football. Like you're a great kid as well.
Thank
Just
you,
being
thank
around
you,
you, your persona, you're always happy, always joking. Like it's fun to be around you. You always
thank you,
put a
man.
smile
Thank
on other people's faces. And I mean, you're an amazing soccer player. Besides that, you're just a great human being.
you. Wow,
I
thank you,
had
man. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all doing this too, man. Like I know a lot of soccer players. A lot of them say they're for their, I'll say like Christians or followers, but they're not really vocal about like what they believe in. But for you guys to start this podcast, that actually speaks volumes, bro. And I really think you guys are paving the way for the next generation of athletes as well. And you guys are honestly paving the way to show that it's cool to actually be a Christian, to be a follower, but
yeah.
also still want to be a professional soccer player, or whatever it is you want to do in life. But as long as you bring glory to God, like, and be vocal about it, I think that's important. And I'm glad you guys are doing that as well.
appreciate that.
Word, bro. I appreciate that. I know Braxton does as well, dude. I mean, dude, it's for us, it's been even a scary journey just to, it's, starting a podcast in general, I think it gets scary, but then this is actually the foundation of this comes from Braxton. And when this starts and the idea is planted to me, I'm like, bro, if it's for God, like for some reason this idea came up, and that's why we went through it. But I do agree with you that I think especially in the world that we're living in the league that you guys are in this country that you guys are in, and I think it's something that a lot of players need. I see a constant trend in MLS teams, MLS Next Pro teams, where I'm seeing like Bible study groups, and it's like little here and there, and then like you said, there's also players that claim to be Christians, and then me and Braxton have a term that's kind of like lazy Christians that they just maybe aren't fully invested in it. And that's where I was going to kind of take the next topic is I think at one point in our lives, uh, you kind of outgrow and you kind of become your own person. And then you realize for yourself that's okay. Like I'm at a point in my life where I need to jump into my word. Like I need to go, and I'm not doing it for my parents anymore. I'm not doing it because my whole family's faithful. What moment was that for you that you just like knew that, okay, from now on, like I'm going to start like getting into my word, reading a bit more the Bible, or just building my relationship with him?
I would say, I think for everyone in life, there's tests or there's moments. Everything's about moments. And for me, when I said I was growing up in a household where I would go to church, I would just be in that environment. it wasn't until I went to Philadelphia Union when I was about 14, 15 years old when I had to make a big decision to move there by myself into a house that I didn't even know, into a whole environment that I wasn't even really comfortable with. But that's when I really faced my first uphill battle, if that makes sense. I was coming from being arguably one of the best players in this area to being with the best players in the country at Philadelphia Union. And, for me to face that battle was kind of like, wow, man, this is kind of a wake up moment. I can't just depend on myself right now. So basically, like the first 2 months was tough for me, man. I wasn't playing. I was struggling. I wanted to come back home. And my mom said, listen, man, like this is the life that you wanted. Trust God and just let God. That's basically all she told me. And then that's when I was like, all right. So I found a church basically like 5 minutes down the street from where I was living in Philly. And then I started getting more into my word. I started going to church more, started listening to more worship music, and I honestly started just like really trusting him. And then once I did that, everything became a little easier every month, every month, every month. And then that's when I started becoming more comfortable, more growing into my faith. And then everything just became like more clear for me. So whenever I would face battles in my career, whether it was injuries, whether I'm not starting, whether I am starting, whether I'm on top of the world, whether I'm on the bottom of the world, no matter what it is, just continue to trust God and keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's really what's helping me get to this point in my career.
Well said. I think that's a big topic, to be honest, because with the other players that we've had on the podcast, they always talk about the difference of when they had God and when they didn't have God. And it's night and day. Like you see, like Nico and I always talk about it. Like, I wish I had God in more difficult moments than when I didn't have him, And it's like, now when I'm in difficult moments, it's easier. I'm not saying it's the challenge is easy and everything's going to work out perfect, but it's going to work out maybe not for what you want, but what for he wants,
Yeah, exactly.
and going and understanding that it's whatever he wants and not what our will is. It like takes off the stress. It takes stress off, to just give everything back to him, and I think that's a big thing for us as footballers is we try to take everything into control in our own hands. But it's like some things are out of control. We can do everything we can on this earth. Like, for instance, you played for Philadelphia, right? But you took the risk to come back to Miami last season, right? And it worked out for you, right?
Yeah.
You could have stayed in Philadelphia, but who knows where you'd be now. You came and took the risk. You probably could have signed first team in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But you took the risk to come back to a second team in Miami, like take a step backwards. But now it took you 20 steps forward, and now you're playing with one of the best footballers to ever play the game. And you're in an environment, in a Miami environment, and you're back home too. So it's like, how did you make that decision?
Dude,
how did that process go?
that was probably one of the biggest decisions I've ever had to make in my life, honestly. I was faced with the decision to either be comfortable or go into the unknown and just trust. Like that's kind of where I was at because Philly didn't want me to leave. Really,
word, bro.
Yeah, man, they didn't want me to leave, and then they're like, hey, you still have an opportunity here. We still want you to stay, but it's your decision. And then my agents came up to me and said, hey, there's a big opportunity in Miami. They're going through rebuilding process, and all you have to do is just go there, just play a couple games. Hopefully you do well, and then we'll see what happens after that. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I could either be comfortable or I could be comfortable being uncomfortable, and just really just betting and saying, hey, like God's going to help me through this. And that kind of just takes me back to this verse that I have right here, Proverbs 3, verse 5. It's like, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he'll literally set your path straight. And then once I was like, you know what, let me just trust in him. I'm not gonna try to be comfortable. I'm just gonna do that. And then I came here, and then I was still facing a little battle because I wasn't starting as much and stuff. But I just always knew he was gonna make a way. And then even when I was like, I can't, like this is gonna be tough for me. It was pretty easy, man. And I would love to like kind of go back to what you said, where it's easy to go to him when things are low, but whenever things are high, what are you doing? Like are you praising him?
Exactly.
Still going back to him. And I'm guilty of that, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm guilty of that. I think we're all guilty of it. But
Yeah, for sure.
but that's why I love how we still go through battles, bro. Because when you go through battles, it's like, all right, God's literally saying like, yo, are you gonna come back to me or what? Like, or are you gonna do this by yourself? Because if you do this by yourself, you're gonna end up coming back to me anyways. So like,
Exactly.
I think it's good that he puts these little battles in front of us. So it kind of reminds you
Yeah.
that, yo, I'm bigger than what you got going on right now. So I think it's always good to kind of remember that.
Well
That's
said.
a good point, bro. How God always leaves the door open, and we don't even realize it. And then, like you said, sometimes in our successes and sometimes when we're doing good and our careers kicking off and things are going well, we forget because we're comfortable and we're happy and things where that joy is actually coming from, you know. And it's like um, all of that is really the foundation of how he took you out from the darkest moment. You know what I'm saying? And I'd like to say something else that you were saying about, I mean, kind of on the same topic, but it's like I was telling Brax, I'm like, how cool is it to be at the club with, like I said, maybe the GOAT and have maybe the GOAT of our profession always give it back to God with the celebration. You know what I'm saying? Like he always is pointing to the sky ever since his first days in Barcelona. You know, it's like for me as a soccer player and as a Christian, I think it's the best example, especially with the world that we're living in nowadays. It's like that's really showing the kids. Like I even see like my little brother doing the celebration, and it's really cool to see like that everybody thanks to just one man that's being of service to God. Give everything back to him, you know, and because at the end of the day, Messi's the going, but he's just another child of God. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it's really cool to see that, and I think the opportunity that you guys are getting, both of you. I mean, maybe you're a little bit more closer, Shanyder, but it's really cool, bro. Like, how's that been? How's that experience been with training with the GOAT, bro? With training with Busquets, with Jordi Alba. He just got there this week, right?
Yeah, man. He got here maybe on I don't know, like probably like 3 days ago, the day before the game actually, or 2 days before. But bro, man, being with them is I can't even really explain it. This is something that you don't even
Is it
think
for
of
real?
doing. Yeah, nah, like literally, if you told me like a few months ago that you're gonna be playing with these guys, they're gonna be in your locker room, you're gonna get to see them every day, I was like, yeah, you're joking, like you're tripping. But for this to
Yeah.
be a reality for me, man, I don't know. It just kind of takes me back when I was a kid. You know, I used to play FIFA with him. I used to literally fight with my best friend to like play with Messi. You know, have Barcelona whenever we
Yeah.
play FIFA. Like, no, I want him. No, I want him. But
Yeah.
finally be on the same team as him, kind of just shows that like, man, anything's possible. Honestly, especially with God as well. Like, I would have never thought in a million years I'd be being able to play with him and just kind of just see what he does on a daily basis. You know, like I get to see what he eats. I get to see how he trains. I get to see how he approaches the game and how he talks in the huddles. Like I used to always read online how he would talk in the
Yeah.
huddles before games. And I'd be like, yeah, there's no way Messi's like getting everyone hyped before games. But now seeing it, I can be like, wow, man. There's a lot of stories that I can finally tell my kids, even future teammates, and even my family. Like, so for me to be a part of that, man, it's like, bro, it's just crazy. I can't even really explain it, man. I just can't. But it's honestly a blessing, man. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and to be able to do this every day is I have no complaints, honestly, no complaints, bro.
Dude,
Well said.
it's crazy, bro. I think, like you said, bro, going on to your kids, bro, and it's gonna be a story, bro, to tell. Not a story, bro. That's like that's like the greatest book ever to tell the kids, bro. You played with Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, bro, and it's crazy. I was gonna ask you something about your background because you said your parents from Haiti. Were you born in
Yeah.
Haiti or were you born in Miami?
No, I was born here. I was born in Margate, Florida, so that's in Broward
Okay.
County. Yeah, yeah.
How was the difference between seeing maybe how in Haiti they approach their faith, and then you by seeing it through your parents and stuff to where you've seen how your teammates and how your friends and how your I don't know families here in the states go about their faith. Is there a difference? Is it more spiritual? Is it less spiritual? Is it if you can tap in on that?
I would say in Haiti and America, there's two different things. But in Haiti, I would say is more. I'll say more old school, old fashioned. More by the book. Um, but I think when my family or whenever my parents came over to America, they knew that America was a whole different lifestyle. They knew like there'll be more sin, just more of everything. Like just more. I don't even know how to explain it. It's different than Haiti, but I think my parents are very strict on us. Growing up, And it was hard because, when you grow up in America, it's like mom, dad, like we never had that life that you had in Haiti. So,
Yeah,
what you guys did is a whole different thing than what we're doing. But
yeah,
as it used to be, how strict they were with us because of faith and just even morals, I really commend them for teaching us that way because now I understand why they were so hard on us. Like they always said, don't get involved with girls too young, and I was like, why? And then now seeing it, it's like, okay, I can see why because it's just not right, and it's just having babies before it's time, like it's not right as well. But
yeah.
yeah, so it's certain lessons like that, but I don't know, man. I think it's so different. Like I can't really
It,
explain it because it's
no,
two
that's a
different
good
times.
way. That's a really
Yeah.
good way to put it. It's like with a bigger country, more population. You said a good
Mhm.
point that it's like with that also comes more maybe praise, but there's also more sin, and that
Yeah.
is that's a crazy point to go on, especially
Yeah.
with a country like the States, because maybe for your parents it was kind of like a shocker to come and see so many things that they were trying to maybe not expose you guys to, that you guys were going to naturally just
Yeah.
get exposed to
Experience.
just
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
school, you know?
Yeah.
Is that
And it's
was it like growing up like that? Did they were they compared to your other friends? Were you like, you got to be home at 10, you got to be home, like
Dude, when I tell you, man, I used to hate going out because whenever I'm with my friends, maybe to like a birthday party, whether it be like cupcakes, apple juice. We're not even partying, not doing anything crazy. It'll be like great. I'm going to my friends. My mom would be like, "Yeah, be home by 8, and don't be later than 8 too." I'm like, "Mom, but like all these other kids are like coming on like 10 or whatever. Yeah, are they my
it starts
kids?"
at
I'm like,
7.
yeah, exactly like that. But I can see why she was really instilling discipline in me when I was a kid, um, and just knowing what's right and wrong. But I would just say, yeah, that's kind of like what. Yeah, it was very hard, but I appreciate them for doing that. So
I think like your parents instilling that discipline when you were younger, it
mm,
goes to where you're at now. And it's like
yeah,
in your career, you need that discipline. If you don't have discipline in your career, you can't continue in your career.
mm,
It takes a lot of sacrifice. But one thing I want to ask you is how do you, for instance, when you're going through difficult moments, right? For instance, right now, like you may not be playing with the first team,
mm,
right? Or when you came here, you didn't. When you first came with the second team, you weren't playing, but then you earned your spot and you were bagging goals, like you were doing the right things. How do you stay faithful during those hard times? Because it's tough. It's tough when
mm.
you're going through trials, but like knowing you have God on your side, you're going to get through it. But like, what really helps you the most get through those challenges and trials and embrace those trials?
Bro, for me, it's my favorite story in the Bible is David and Goliath story. I remember I was watching a sermon back when I was in Philly. It was called man, I'm not sure what it was called, but Mike Todd was actually preaching this, and he was using David and Goliath, and he was like, David was already anointed before he was a king, before he had to fight Goliath, go through all these little trials and stuff. And I remember one thing he said was, God's always going to give you a little taste of what you're going to get, So when David was anointed, whenever you're anointed to be a king, you're like, all right, bet. So when do I start? When do I get to start ruling over people and stuff? But he went right back into the fields, like working with the sheep, refining his skills until his moment came with Goliath. Then that's when his story really started. So I think for me is, God's always giving me a little taste of everything, a little taste of first team, a little taste of playing with the best players in the world, like a little taste of everything. But now I just got to go back to being patient, kind of working on my skills. And I know whenever I have my time, that's when God's going to allow me to take the opportunity. Like I use last year, for example, man, I I started maybe half, not even half of the games of the season, but I scored 14 goals. Like, and that's all glory to God. But you know, I was able to just kind of use that story and apply it to my life. And whatever opportunity I had, whether it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, man, I was playing like to the best of my abilities because I was really letting God take over. Bro, when I tell you half the things I was doing last year in terms of like scoring, it wasn't even me, bro. Like this sounds weird, but when I tell you those like the angles I was shooting, like everything was all him. Like, and I was
You
like,
did
you know what,
bag some
bro?
crazy goals
Yeah,
last
like
season.
I was like, it's crazy, bro. And that was my goal to score 14, 15 goals. I was able to do that. So I think for now, it's like, God's not going to put me in a position where I'm just or he wants me to fail. Like he's not gonna do that. So he's gonna put me in a position and like this is where I'm supposed to be, bro. So if I'm not starting, if I'm not playing as much as I would love to, I know at some point in some time, like he's gonna allow me to embrace that opportunity again, and then he's gonna allow me to take control. So that's where my confidence comes from, man. It don't come from anything else, you know. It doesn't come from myself, but you know, I think it's always good to just like relay back to God, and He's really going to direct my path, bro. So that's where everything comes from for me.
I wanna go on to that because I'm actually reading this book right now, and it talks about David and Goliath, and there's actually a really big point that I love, and it talks about hidden moments. It says in the Bible, when God chose a man or woman for a job, we see a pattern of them being hidden before they are seen. God found Moses as a leader hidden in the desert, not in the palace. He found David hidden in a field, not a castle. He found Samson hidden in prison, not in a place of prestige. Lazarus was hidden in death, not life. Peter was hidden in his father's fishing business, not preaching. Paul was hidden in religion, not revival. Do not fear the hidden moments. And what you just said is a perfect example of not fearing the hidden moments. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like last year you said, oh, I might not have started all the games, but when you did get your opportunity, you took advantage of the opportunity. And even the
Mm-hmm.
times you've came on with the first team this year, you've taken advantage and like you've proved that you can be there. And that's like a perfect
Yeah.
way to go about it. That's like this when we talk about this podcast, it isn't like just us interviewing and stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
now what you just said I can use for me because
Yeah.
as professional footballers we go through so many challenges. It's not always perfect. You're not always going to be starting. You're not always going to be playing amazing. So it's like using that to help me is something that you said is going to help me a lot. So I appreciate it, bro. Like, what
Yeah,
is
Yeah, man.
and looking at just the way he described the story, maybe like for me, that I look at that story, I probably had it interpreted one way, and Schneider comes on and explains it in a way where it just opens our eyes up, and that's kind of the whole thing of this podcast, Schneider. It's like we're just all trying to learn, and then me and Braxton realized when we just dedicate an hour and just talking to fellow Christians and especially of our profession that we're just all growing God's kingdom together and learning, and at the end of the day, that's the goal, man. We're just trying to get better in our word and. Um, you were going into something that I really like about how you said like he's always giving you a little taste of maybe of what maybe you're meant for, what he's got for you. I think one of the things that I've realized in my life, and I think that I try my best to implement, is that God says that we need to work hard. He says that we need to not fear. He says we need to be strong. When you are doing so well and your success is starting to show up, it's really easy to get comfortable. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So how have you made sure in your career to like innovate, keep getting better, not stay comfortable, not just shoot for that renewal at Inter Miami, but to earn a starting spot and to go to Europe, or to go to another team in the MLS or Mexico or wherever. How do you
Mm-hmm.
manage that?
I think for me, it's like standards, man. One of my old coaches, Darren Powell, he's told me always have a standard for yourself. And even Michael Jordan, one of my favorite athletes ever, he always try to find a little edge no matter what. He won 6 rings. He would always try to find a little edge no matter what. Like he could have been comfortable himself, but
Yeah.
he would always
Oh,
find, oh, this guy's talking trash about me. I bet I'm gonna prove him wrong. So I think for me is whenever you get to a certain level, it's always good to kind of enjoy it a little bit. But and we're also human. We're gonna get like very comfortable at times. But I think for me, it's always realizing that you can always get better no matter what. Like you can never be too good ever. Even Messi
yeah.
himself, like greatest player of all time, but you see it himself. Like he's not being comfortable. He's always trying to beat records. Always trying to just win. And I think that's what a winner's mentality is, man. It's just never being complacent, never always being hungry, bro. I think for me, it's like I come from an area where it's not we never really had it easy growing up. If that makes sense. Like you always have to work for what you have, and I think for me, fear is what kind of drives me to always keep climbing up, man. Because I don't want to go back to how some of my friends are living right now. Like especially in this area, like I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to wondering, man, like I can't afford this or anything like that. I don't want to go back to that. So I think that's what kind of drives me to just be the best person that I can be every single day, man. So whenever I play, like I'm just always trying to be hungry. Like I don't care where I am. I could be second team, first team, no matter what it is. Like I'm not taking my foot off the gas. I'm always gonna keep pushing, bro. Trying to find better.
I think that's good because I feel like God puts certain people in our lives. Like you said, like you see people around you that are in certain situations and you kind of push yourself to be in a better situation because you don't want to be in that situation, you know? And it's like, I feel like God puts people in our lives to show us, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like that. Like he shows you like, this is where you need to be. Like you need to stay with me. You need to be with me here and don't
Yes,
go
sir.
here. You know, you
Yeah.
can't walk the world. You have to walk with God. And I think that's
And
like
that can be
Exactly,
very
bro.
humbling. That can be very humbling, bro, because you want it all, you know, and it's like at some point in our profession, dude, you want to just be the top, and you're seeing this guy that just seems like everything's going his way, you know, like, and
Yeah,
it's not
bro.
going. And it's in those moments, it's keeping the humbleness that is mentioned so many times in the Bible is just of just wishing well for your neighbor, treat them as you know, how you like to be treated, but also we'd be fools to not look at that because there's a reason why God's putting that example in our eyes, and that's just so that we can look at that and then grow from that and try to become that or better. And it's a good point that Braxton always brings up anytime we talk. Is just surround yourself with people that are at your level or better. Never with, you know what I'm saying,
That's
or have that higher dreams.
100%
How
and
how
true.
big like how big is that?
yeah. And
Bro,
one
it's
thing I think that sorry,
oh,
Shania, I'm just gonna
nah,
throw
you
this
good,
in
you
really.
good, you good.
One thing I think that surrounding yourself with people and not comparing yourself to others, like it says in, I think it's in Romans, it says, do not look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, but look at the plank of wood in your own eye. Because it's like, you know how it was as second team players when someone else would get called up to first team to train last season, you'd be like
It'd
kind
be
of
like,
annoyed.
bro, how did he get called? Yeah, I know you're
Yeah,
talking
like
about.
why is he getting called? I'm not getting called up, but it's like we both had those situations, and it's like you didn't
Mm,
take that to heart. You know, you do what you can do. You don't look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye. You look at the plank of wood
mm,
in your own eye because we all have stuff we need to work on. But if we
mm.
sit there worrying about what others have to work on, then you're going to forget about what you have to work on, and that's
100% true, man. Even with kind of surrounding yourself with the people that are on your level or even above. My dad kind of said something kind of like, corny like the other day, but he was like, if you hang around four idiots, you're gonna be an idiot. If you hang around four criminals, you're gonna be a criminal. If you hang around four smart people, you're gonna be smart. But that just goes to show that it really does matter about who you surround yourself with. That's why with me, my circle's always been my family and even like teammates, or I always surround myself with soccer people or just people that are
Yeah.
like business people that are successful, and they're there for a reason because you get to like kind of iron sharpens iron, bro. It's literally in the Bible, like, iron sharpens iron, and it's a
Yes,
real
sir.
thing, bro. Whenever you're around people that are doing like good things, you're just naturally gonna start like attracting yourself to that, bro. And like just
And
never
demanding more for yourself.
exactly, man. That too, and I think being humble is the main thing I would tell people. Always be humble, man. I look at Messi, bro. Like I've never ever seen this guy boast about anything in his life. I've never seen him do anything. He's just about his game. He's about his teammates. That's it. But you see that and you want to be like that because, bro, God gives and God can take, bro. Like literally. So if you think you're too big for whatever it is you got going on, like He'll definitely take it from you. So I think it's always good to like stay humble and just continue remembering, like, hey, just keep going. So yeah, man.
be humble or God will humble you. That's the
Yeah,
name of
that's
it.
100% true,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
I seen it from so many people too in my career, bro. Like a lot of guys, boy. So that's why I don't even try to say, yo, like, I'm better than you, whatever. It's good to have confidence, but it's always
Yeah,
good to remember, like, yo, don't think you're too bigger than God, bro. Don't do
yeah,
that. Like,
It's in so many aspects, especially in our profession, bro. You will see people get humbled on the field with a tackle, with the fine, or with not performing, with so many things, dude. You see people be humbled just naturally by God. You know what I'm saying? And there's I
yeah,
actually heard something that was really good the other day about being humble. It was like humble is a lot of people mistaken humble. The opposite of humble is being cocky, and
hmm
it's really what I heard was humble is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking less of yourself.
hmm
I don't know if you guys get that, but it's like it's not that you're thinking less of who you are. You're just thinking less about you and you're thinking more of God. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's like you're thinking about God more than you are about yourself. Because when you're thinking about yourself, um, we talked about this just the other day. It's like so many things can just go wrong. And at the end of the day, you're just going to get down and get in a deeper hole and a deeper hole and a deeper hole. But when you focus on things that are not earthly, how it says in the Bible, it's you can't be moved. You can't be
yeah,
moved. You built your house on a rock, how it says in the Bible. you know?
Firm
And
foundation too. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. Your foundation is just stronger, dude. And it's something that I think, dude, I've been trying to implement in my life, and I've noticed that with the Christian athletes, when I was at Toronto FC, the Christian athletes are tend to be the players that are just always more stable, and they're just stable because in the good and the bad, they've just understood that this is yes, we dedicate our whole life to soccer, but it's just this life. What's really important is the eternal life after. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, of course, I want things to go my way. I wish I would be playing 90, but that's not the goal. That's not my goal in life. That's not the important just to play 90 minutes right now. You know what I'm saying? And and yeah, dude, it's managing that balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, man. I think that's the truth, honestly, bro. Because I think with us as soccer players, we're so used to playing it, especially growing up. Like that's kind of all we're used to. So I think sometimes subconsciously our identity is literally wrapped in soccer world, bro. So whenever things
Yeah.
aren't going your way, it's like, man, it messes up your whole day, bro. I know y'all boys had it. Like y'all had a terrible
Oh,
training,
bro.
terrible game, dude. You don't want to talk to nobody for like a week. Even my girlfriend, after a terrible game, she knows not to talk to me because I just get so mad, you know. But um, I think it's always good to kind of remember that, yo, this is really just a game. If that makes sense. It's not life or
Yeah.
death. A lot of people have it worse, you know. I was even talking to one of the captains today, Grigore. He's going through an injury right now, and he was talking to me. He was like, "Hey, I know you're a little down about not being able to play that much and stuff," but he was like, "Look at Ian. Ian is one of my teammates who went through like two ACL
Yeah.
surgeries, came back, was killing it. And then he just went through another ACL injury. He was like, look at him, like he's happy just to try to even run, if that makes sense. So look at
Yeah.
your situation compared to him, and it's like, you know, somebody's always gonna have it worse than you. So it's always good to kind of remember that and just be like, all right, you know what, like I'm blessed, I'm healthy, I'm grateful for this moment, but you know, it's always good to kind of still have those ambitions, but still remember that you know you're in a good situation.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's like embracing. You've mentioned a lot with trials and tests, and it's like embracing those trials and using them for your testimony.
Oh yeah, most
Just
definitely, man. Yeah,
testing it,
bro.
then it's like as a soccer player, it's tough when you're not in the highs of your career. You feel it so
Yeah.
deep in your heart, but it's like when you find that external factor of getting out of that anger and but like recognizing that you have God's love, and no matter what you're going through in that situation, it's for God's will. And it's like
Yeah.
recognizing, okay, this may not be what I want, but it's what God wants, and it's something that's going to be for us.
Mhm. And I think he puts you through things to really teach you a lesson, man. I think right now I'm going through a season where I have to be patient again, bro. Like it's kind of what it is, bro. And I think patience is the hardest thing, bro. It's the hardest thing to ever obtain and just like really master in life, I think. And you know, if you can really have patience and just trust as well, I think anything is possible, man. So, you know, I would just really say if anybody's going through anything in regards to, you know, waiting for the what's next or you know what's to come, really just be patient, work on what you gotta work on, and just trust God, bro. And it's so cliche to say, but it's like the
It
truth,
is,
man.
dude. It is.
So,
It's so hard not to sound. It's the answer though. You know, it's like it sounds
yeah,
cliche, but that's the answer. It's simple as that. You know, and it's like
mhm.
how many things have you been through, Schneider, where it's like, uh, looking back at it now, you understand now why that happened, but in the moment you had no idea why that was happening.
John
Yeah.
Maybe you
17
did.
said, you may not
Even
understand
people,
what
bro,
you're doing
people in
now.
your life too. Like I think a lot of people come and go. Like, and one thing somebody always told me was that I forgot who told me this, but this really stuck with me is people are here for certain seasons. Some are here for forever seasons.
Yes,
Some are here
sir. I've heard that.
for you know, and like every season comes with a purpose, bro. And you know, whether it's your ex, whether it's your ex best friend, whatever, whoever it may be, like they're in your life for a reason, and you're the person you are today because of them. And you know, it's always good to remember that, bro. Like, so I think with that, you know, if you were going through a patience season before, it's going to teach you how to get through this next patience season. So you just continue to get stronger with these trials and tribulations, man. Because you know, if you didn't have them, a lot of people wouldn't know what to do. You know, so
Oh
it's always
yeah,
good to
dude.
remember. Mm-hmm.
It's
I think,
always
Chanel,
good to remember.
I got a question for you to kind of bring this to an end.
So
If you could tell your younger self what to do and how to trust God, to get through battles and get through patient seasons and get through different seasons, what would you say?
Hmm. I was honestly just say be still, and like listen, man. Be still, listen, and work. That's basically what I would say. I say be still because there's times in my life, even still now, where I try to make everything go my way. That makes sense. But I realized that anytime I try to do it my way, it never worked out ever worked out. Not one time
Yeah.
that I tried to make anything go my way it ever worked out. So I would say is be still. And yeah, just gotta keep working, man. Because whenever you're still and working, doors are automatically gonna open up. Because God, if He gave you a talent, just work on your craft, bro. Just keep working on your craft because the doors are gonna open up, bro. But if you're not putting time into your craft, you're not doing that. He's not gonna open up for you because you're not gonna be ready. So like, I'll say that's kind of what I would say is just be still, man. Just keep working, bro. Yeah.
If I can tie in a verse that goes in perfectly with that, and maybe we can, Braxton will just close us up after this, but I think it's Proverbs 19:21, and it says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." And that for me just says so many times we're going to be asking for things that we think that we need, and sometimes God's going to give us that, just that we see firsthand that that's not what we needed,
Mm-hmm.
and He'll answer your prayer just so that He can show you that, look, this is what you were asking for. Here it is. This is not what you need. This is what you need. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that is one thing that the minute I realized that in my life, I completely just had a complete different look on life and just my day to day interactions, my day to day trainings, my workouts, my what I'm saying, the rosters, the playing time, and the coaches that I'm getting. It's so relevant in our profession. So with
Yeah.
that being said, that was a good question, Brax. That was really good.
Well said,
I'd like to say
Shanyder.
one more thing too.
Yeah.
For anybody listening to this, whether they're going through a hard time, whether you feel like you're not worthy of what's to come next, or you feel like you're not worthy of God. I think God uses broken situations and turns them into gardens. There's a song called "Graves to Gardens." Like I learned when I was in Philly, but he turns bones into he turns the ashes into bones. Like he turns broken things into like beautiful things, bro. So he uses a crazy situation. It might look crazy in the moment, but at some point, it's gonna turn beautiful. So I think it's always good to realize that. If you're ever low, you're gonna be high at some point. So just keep pushing and keep going, man. And just know that God's using you for a reason, bigger than yourself. So yeah,
Well said, Shanyder.
of
Amazing,
course,
bro.
of
Wow, bro,
course.
what a way to end that, bro.
Nah,
I'm gonna say
appreciate that, man.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you
say
guys for having me, bro.
for you and for everything going on. If you're okay
Sir,
with that. Dear Father God, I thank you so much for this opportunity, Lord, to just speak to Shanyder and let him just be open about his faith, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity to just talk about you, Lord, and have the opportunity to speak to others and just let others know you. I thank you for Schneider's life, Lord. I thank you for his health, Lord. I thank you for his success, Lord. I pray wisdom over his life. I pray healing over his life. I pray that he knows that you're always with him during those seasons that may not be in the highs. And he knows that you're in the seasons where he's in the highs, Lord. I pray that he always gives everything back to you, Lord, and always trusts in you, Lord. I pray confidence in him, that he just gets all his confidence through you, Father God. I pray for his family, his mom, his dad, his brothers, that you just bless them and their family, Lord, and let them keep planting seeds of faith in other people's lives, Lord. I thank you for everything you do, Lord. I pray protection over Schneider's life, and that he just has a blessed rest of his career and rest of his life, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
amen,
What a prayer,
amen.
brother. Wow.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Nah, thank you
Bless you.
guys, man. Thank you for having me. It's a blessing, man. It's a grateful experience that I'm able to have, man. So just thank you for having me, bro.
Love,
Of
Schneider.
course,
Love you,
man. We
Yeah,
man.
hope to have you on, maybe, dude, in the future, dude, in a couple months or in a year, dude, whenever we can
yeah.
get it to work again, dude. But dude, this is
Yeah, let me
me and
know, man. Let me
Brax
know,
have the
man.
idea to make this go for a long time, and we hope to just continue uh, planting seeds and whoever's listening, bro. And dude, you were a great guest, bro. So we really appreciate it, bro.
And I want to say, just like really keep it going, man. Like this is dope. Like this project I got going on, this is dope, man. And Brax, I'm proud of you, bro.